happy to have them here with us today. Everybody say hello.
Hello.
that was all. That was like on key, on pitch. That was like that's like a choir. We could actually have them sing a song. You guys sing songs? Do you guys sing?
Andar money.
There's Andar. So Andar, tell us about you got the flyers and everything there. So tell us a little bit about the project.
Yes, of course, it's a very exciting project. It's Walk on the River, a Black History of Alamo City, and it's a documentary, basically documenting the Black history of San Antonio from 1865 up to around 1970. We're bringing out, I think, some very sometimes forgotten but very important information about African Americans and their contribution here in San Antonio. We're going to share some information in the film that's going to be very, I think, enlightening to a lot of people. And, as they come out, what I think people are going to really find is that African Americans have made a tremendous and significant contribution to the history and development of San Antonio. So we're going to be talking about...
And no one ever talks about that at all.
Yeah, it's not talked about, and I think that's what's going to make this film very unique and very special, is because we're going to bring some information out it's known, but it's not talked about. And we've had the honor of interviewing a number of historians and scholars and elders right here in San Antonio. They have the information, but I think what we're going to contribute is that we're going to be able to bring that information to light through the film, because we've conducted these interviews, we've gathered the information, and now we're going to share it. And I mean, we're going to cover the different areas from religion to politics to education to just community development, and show the different contributions African Americans have really have laid the foundation for and shown and developed here in San Antonio.
Wow. So, Logic, how did this get started? What made you come up with this?
We had a conversation. This is our second film, so we were tossing around the idea of what we were going to do for our next project. Mm-hmm. We actually came out talking and considering maybe doing a tour of historical sites on the east side of San Antonio.
Now there was a historical tour kind of thing that they did for a while, right?
Yes.
Do they still do that?
I'm not aware of anyone that still does it now.
Okay.
But that's kind of how we started. We talked about a tour, and because we do film, we said, well, we might as well make it a movie. So we started just really putting together the skeleton for a documentary.
Okay. And how long have you guys been working on this?
A year.
A year?
Yes.
And just finished, huh?
Yes.
All right, so how did you meet Leslie? How did you get involved in this?
I actually had the pleasure of working with Logic's wife on another project. But I have lived in San Antonio all my life. I was in the news business for a very long time. I
remember seeing you on TV.
So yeah, back in the day. But it's important information that I think a lot of people don't know. It's an important piece of the fabric of our community that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
And one of the things that we've talked a lot about is not only capturing the history for us and for our generation, but for the generations to come, to not only educate them about those contributions, but to inspire them. And I think that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about, is inspiring, letting them know the work that was done. One of the things I thought was interesting when we talked just a few weeks ago was how resilient the community was, even in the face of adversity, and the kinds of solutions that were found in order when you came up against segregation or issues where you were discriminated against. Rather than bringing you down, how did the community adapt? How did they go ahead and take care of their own and provide for themselves? And I think those are stories that, regardless of who you are, what color your skin is, what your religious background, it's really so important, and it's about all of us. So
that's awesome.
I was real thrilled to get to work with them.
And then I just get amazed at some of the things you were involved in, because you were the one that actually started the whole thing around the preservation of the Woolworth building.
Yes, so that's, I think, something that we've talked about as well. In San Antonio, a lot of people don't know that was the first peaceful protest during segregation, where blacks and whites sat at the counter together and said, we do not want to eat at separate lunch counters. We want to work on this together and live as one. And
awesome.
So this is all about them and the work that they're doing, but really capturing so many wonderful voices in the community that, kind of to your point, have not been heard yet.
So, Andar, who have you guys interviewed? Give me a couple examples.
Yes. We've had the opportunity to interview Miss Nettie Hinton.
Oh, wow.
Yes, Mario Salas, Mr. Charles Williams of Williams Barber
Barber,
College. And I guess the list goes on and on. But
Barbara Gervin.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
state representative. And we've interviewed Chuck Andrews,
Okay.
or Charles Andrews.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And now it just, you know, and it's interesting because we've, like I say, interviewed probably over 25 people.
25. Wow.
Yes.
And you know, it's like Leslie said, if you don't capture this, and unfortunately everybody's going to pass away, and you don't capture that now, then that's history that's lost.
You know, and that's a very important aspect of the film, is because these people who are some up in age, they're elders in our community, and a part of this history they have lived.
Right.
So it's important to get their information, to hear their stories and document their stories, because they are the community historians.
Right.
And if we can document it now, then we can share it, preserve it, and share it with the next generation.
Yes.
So it's...
Because that's kind of interesting. I thought about that with, you know, I used to go to the Lighthouse meetings with Reverend Claude Black. They used to have those at the club there at Frost Bank, and so like one Wednesday a month he would have those meetings there, and he would invite, you know, people like myself, so it'd be about 40 of us there, and it was just amazing some of the things he shared and the things that he had lived through, and it's just amazing. He passed, and Reverend Callies, you know, he started the Martin Luther King March. He's gone, and so those are some that we. Did you interview Reverend Callies by chance? Was he still alive when?
No, he was not yet.
He was okay.
But we're getting information like on Reverend Black. A number of the people that we interviewed speak very highly of Reverend Black.
Oh, he was an amazing guy. One of the most interesting things he ever said to me was, the worst thing to happen to African Americans was desegregation. And it was an interesting perspective, because he talked about how, you know, we lost a lot of our influence and strength, and you know, and in his story, when people started moving other places, and you know, so a sense of community was kind of lost, and so it was just a very interesting, because he said that, I thought, wow, dude, you're kind of getting a little senile here, right? And I thought he was kind of crazy, but really, when you sit down and talk to him about it, it made a lot of sense, especially from his perspective of somebody who's lived through so much change. So Adar, how did you guys like? I mean, so did you sit down and did you do a project plan? How did you organize something that's so? It seems to me like so monumental. How'd you do that?
You know, Brother Logic and I, we laugh about it now, but it's very interesting because, you know, when you start off on a project like this, you think you're going to go in, get the basic information, document it, and move on to the next project. And what we have found is that by interviewing so many people and going into the history, there's so much information to be documented that, in a way, we thought this project may last, 3 months?
Yeah.
Now we are working into a year. And it's just, the fact is that it's so much to be uncovered and to be shared. So
Logic, what did you guys do? Did you guys record it? Did you write it? Did you have a recorder? I mean, did you just do it from memory? I mean, this just sounds like just fascinating.
No, we basically started out with an 8-chapter outline, and we basically tried to fill in the blanks with different categories like education, religion, politics. As we started to interview people, the people guided the project. The interviews really powered the project. People would give us tips. They would recommend other people that we should talk to. And so after speaking to people, the project took on another shape, and it really took on a life of its own.
Wow. So all of the supporting information, do you have that locked up in a safe somewhere, or what?
We got a pretty hefty documentation pile. We have a few books and quite a few articles and studies.
And film things. So what are some of the areas, what are some of the places that you filmed or recorded that?
Our home base is really the Carver Library. We conducted a majority of our interviews there.
Wow.
Mr. D.L. Grant is very supportive of the project.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that. That's awesome. I would have loved to have been seaside. So you said this is your second project. What was your first one?
Our first project was a film called Message to the People, a story of Malcolm X.
Wow, and when you did that here in San Antonio?
Yes, and that was last year we released it. It's a historical dramatization, and it's available online, so people can purchase
Really?
it. Yes.
See, that's why we're on the radio, because, you know, I'm glad that you know, we were able to be around for 10 years, because at least we have a format or a forum where we can like talk about these things.
Yes.
Because one thing about San Antonio, as far as the African Americans go, if it's hard to get information out and things happen and you're not aware of them simply because we have no vehicle for sharing information. So this is great. So we're here today. This is Dr. Doug here with you on a Wednesday with Leslie Andar and Logic talking about Walk on the River. And we'll be right back in just a couple of seconds, about 3 minutes.